Live. Uh-oh. We are live, you guys. And I tell you what, I am so excited for this live tonight. You guys get the pleasure of meeting a truly awesome soul, my buddy Jesse Tree. And man, I don't know how I could even begin to describe this man. He just radiates life and love and just light. He's a wonderful soul. Let's see. I'm gonna let him in here real quick.
I think he's in. Hopefully I let him in. What's up,
Hey there,
brother?
brother.
Wow.
Great
How
to
are you
see
doing,
you.
man? Great to see you too. How have you been?
I've been wonderful, man. Doing great. Doing
Oh,
great.
that's wonderful. I'm so honored to be sharing this space with you, my friend. I really appreciate you taking the time to just, come on here and just do this and just for being you, of all the people that I met down in ManClan, I tell you what, I really learned quite a bit from you in such a short amount of time. And I just want to say it goes deeper than just the small group breakout. I mean, you really radiate light, man. And I want to tell you, you're a special and unique soul. I'm really grateful for you. So thank you so much.
Oh, brother, that's very kind of you. The feeling is mutual. I see you and appreciate you, and thank you for having me. It's just, you know, for me, it's creating a sangha and being part of a greater community, being able to connect out with souls like yourself, and so I just appreciate the opportunity.
Well, of course, of course. Know that anything you're always doing, anytime you want to connect, any efforts you're making, I'm always in. You don't even have to ask. I'm always in. And so I'm just so excited for this relationship and for this friendship and just to see where it goes. But you are a huge source of knowledge, and I'm just so excited for the people to listen to your story and just to hear what you're all about and just to feel free to share whatever you want to share, brother. This is really, I think, your time. I want to hand this over to you because you have so much that I think everybody wants to hear. But if you just maybe just talk a little bit about yourself, give an introduction. What led you to this point. What are some of the things that inspire you and get you up and just active and just go with it.
Okay, wow. Thank you. It's like I always want to add value to my community. So that's big on my heart, so I don't want to go too long on about myself. But, because we all have a story, long story. We could all tell, hours worth of our story because we're all, unique beings with intricate lives, you know. So, but for me, with respect to my profession and, where I'm at, what I do, I'm a permaculturalist and herbalist and forager in northern New Mexico, and just sort of a just health nut, also like Troy and you and many other men who are growing into their greater integrity, you know. And, it's just been a path for me that started, I remember, back to my youth, I often share in my herbalism classes the first day that I feel like the plants called me. I was hiking with my dad, and I fell asleep on his shoulders, and I woke up and he put me down in this field of flowers, and I just looked around and was like, "Hey, cool, I'm in heaven," you know. And that was a big, that was one of the early, most vivid experiences of my life that I recall, you know. Um,
Wow. How old were you if you had to guess? What age were you when that happened?
between 2 and 3, pretty young.
Wow, what a blessing. How cool.
Yeah, I felt blessed, and um, like everyone, I've had trials through life, but I've really come around to see this whole realm as a heaven realm. So that was telling to me with respect to connecting in with the plants and, their wisdom and presence as a healing benefit, and also just, uh, what I see and what I want to project and live and be and change in the world. So, there was those early experiences, in high school. I grew up, standard American kind of uh, middle class uh, suburban kid, but I grew up in northern New Mexico, in a place where the atom bomb was created, in a place where Native many Native Americans used to live. I used to walk around on the mesas barefoot and check out the caves and leave tobacco, and um, started working with vision plants in high school, and they really led me further down. I had a very revelatory experience on psilocybin, where I kind of was thinking that there were too many people on the earth. It was like degrading the ecology, and then I had like a distinct thing come through, is that it's not people that are bad for the earth, it's our way, and how we're not fulfilling our natural ecological niche like an indigenous person would,
My cat's joining me. Yeah. Wow. And you just nailed the subject that's really starting to be really near and dear to my heart, and that's just the plants that can help us, just the ones that can help us heal, especially psilocybin. I had my first real psilocybin experience a couple years ago, and it was just profound. I love that they're starting to really legalize it in a lot of different places, and use it for PTSD. I think these are the tools that I think are going to lead us away from the 20 veterans that are killing themselves each and every day. Things like that, these natural remedies.
The whole culture, there are also that there's a lot of people in a state of PTSD at a lesser degree than vets, but now the clinical trials and medical research has been substantiated, so there's no more. Now we know this stuff is beneficial.
Sure.
So it's time to move on with making use of the highest potential of tools available to us. And herbs, unlike pharmaceuticals, are much more benign to the human system, and usually have a synergistic therapeutic effect for mind and body.
Wow.
That became my path eventually, as I got into permaculture, because I felt this strong feeling about psilocybin, my experience on psilocybin, that we needed to change our way and that we could be of benefit to the earth. And it's been my practice and experience over the last 20 years that that's absolutely the case. And the training that I undertook, you can grow 8 acres worth of food on 1 acre by stacking it up like a forest and layering it such that it's super dense, it's self-sustaining, perennial foods that are more nutritious. So that's been a really fun revelation. And then getting into the herbs further as time went on through my own healing experience, because I dealt with, gut issues some 12 years ago. I was eating organic and everything, but started to have issues with, celiac or gluten and, casein and lactose and meat too was problematic for me. And so I underwent a health transformation that led me further down the path ever, learning about plants, and how all around us all the time there are plants that are available to nourish us in the environment. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just to say that was one of my greatest revelations, in terms of learning that the universe is conspiring in our favor. And then I went further into all kinds of other natural therapeutic therapies, but we can get into that in our conversation. So that's kind of the backdrop of my life to this point, in short, and how I got here.
Well, I love it. I just, like I said, I really think that it's great that you were able to connect at such a young age with your father and nature, and just, the way that you and I connected out there through Man Clan. I was just, so astounded at all the connections that were made, and just the different corners of life that people come from. But, what I think really took my my heart when I was down there was just New Mexico in and of itself. What a beautiful place. It's absolutely magical. And I just never in a million years dreamed that, especially in a place like we were, there was just so much food and abundance. I think it's hysterical that the powers that be are telling us that there's shortages. There's just so much abundance that exists for everybody. The universe does so much. But I mean, just that walk that we took opened my eyes, and I just can't thank you enough. And just the seeds that you planted in my brain that on that walk were just incredible. And just talking about the way that you build. You said 8 acres of food on 1 acre of land. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By utilizing principles of rainwater harvesting, by using native plant selection, and by doing this layering effect, you can grow much more food, and we can rehabilitate the environment. People are very concerned, with the carbon situation and the toxicity that we're putting into the world, and rightly so. But nature has all of the tools for bioremediation, and our function, in my belief, is to augment life. Even the word husband, in terms of like a divine masculinity and our shared connection with men's health over the Man Plan event, masculinity, the whole word husband was, you did husbandry, you nurtured plants or animals, you nurtured life, and that was part of your skill in doing that. Was what your benefit, part of what your benefit to the community was, a large part. So acknowledging sort of that yin side of the yin yang and divine masculinity, of to nurture and to care for things, and that we can grow life back, and we can grow our vitality back, and our own health. By cultivating our health, we can grow into our greater integrity, and the plants can be our teachers. I view them as agents of change. If we get them into our bodies, they start to change us from the inside out, as do the other elements of earth, wind, fire, and water. And so connecting with the elements, connecting with plants, connecting with your water every day, even in the shower, as like energetically washes you, and giving thanks for it, getting out in the sunlight and getting vitamin D and that fire on your skin to improve your immunity, and for the electricity of your mitochondria, and getting good quality food of the earth, and connecting with the earth, and grounding and absorbing negative ions and probiotic from the earth, because we're essentially super aggregates of microorganisms. So we've forgotten that our, even that word human, it's like connected with humus. It's also connected with color, hue, man, but this whole connection we have with the soil is very intimate, us and plants. Rudolf Steiner talks about human beings as being plants that make soil in our bellies so we can walk around. And even the microbiota of your intestines are exactly the same as the tiny feeder roots on plants. So there's a cellular similarity, and this whole thing of us being more than 90% microorganisms. When we spray glyphosate into the environment, which is a strong antibiotic, it's actually it was Agent Orange. It's a remnant of the war machine, and it's sprayed in our communities, in our parks. Our kids roll around in this, and our pets, and it destroys our microbiome and the microbiome of the soil. And so that's how it works, is it kills the soil biota, and then the weeds can't uptake nutrient, but Roundup Ready plants are resistant to this glyphosate. And as per our conversation also with men's health, these are endocrine disruptors. This is a hormone affecting men and women both, but it's, as our other brother was sharing during that same class, testosterone has gone down 40% in the last 40 years.
Yeah, 1% each year, I believe it was. Is that correct?
That's right.
Insane. Wow. That's
because
insane.
of the phytoestrogen, the phytoestrogens, the xenoestrogens, like polyester. It's polyester. Plastic piping, plastic water bottles. That's all just taking on endocrine disruptors. The whole thing of we take on microfiber plastic. We need to stop single-use plastic and start working on there's so many ecological solutions to these things that are already there that we can just put in place. It just takes some education and collective will, and we can turn around our our collective state economically, health-wise, and with respect ecologically to future generations, and to have this marriage of our commerce, ecological sensitivity, and sensitivity to human social systems has to be a thing going forward, in my view. So
Yeah, and everybody is really focused right now on the negative, but I'm like looking around so positive and just so happy because I'm like, now people see. Now people see these things. I mean, can we honestly say that 10 years ago, most people would be wanting to have these types of conversations and would be describing in detail all of the impurities that exist? I mean, can you really even escape the toxins and the poisons? I mean, if you're living in the average place, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, it's difficult. People don't realize the air, the breathe, everything. I mean, it's completely absorbed in toxins. So
absolutely. So that, I think someone's saying, just don't buy those things. That's the kind of the thing. What we can do is boycott. We're a corporatocracy, and dollars make things move. So if we just stop, boycott those items, and start preferentially to seek things like glass, stainless steel, reusable things, cloth bags, etc., and looking for, cardboard, bulk items, ways to reduce, plastic use. We can all do. I like Gandhi's thing of what you do may seem insignificant, but it's significant that you do it. So we can all do little things, You can plant a little garden in your backyard or even in some veggies on a balcony, and you'll be sequestering carbon and creating fresh food for yourself and, learning the craft of nurturing life. You can
really,
you can boycott, plastics. You can get outside and touch your feet on the earth and absorb negative ions and get in the sun and receive vitamin D. You can do breath work. There's all these modalities that are free and available to all of us that we can start working on. Fasting, is a major favorite of mine. I fast every single day, and I've been doing it for years, and it's my thing.
yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind us shifting gears and going into that, you had talked about some of the dry fasts you'd done in your life when we were out walking, and you talked about some of the other things about fasting that you've experienced. And so if you wouldn't mind, just run wild with that, share that. Tell me more about that, because I know I'm starting to kind of intermittent fast. I mean, I'm only eating typically between the hours of 12 and 9. And I'm noticing a pretty dynamic difference. My body feels a lot better. I'm definitely trying to not even eat after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock even. But the later I eat, the more that my stomach kind of just gets really turned up. But tell me more about fasting, man. What do I need to know? Tell me some about your experiences.
Well, this is my favorite healing modality and subject, and it's something that's free and available to all. And you hit some things on the head in terms of some how-tos. Like set time and cycle. We have circadian rhythms. Your digestion starts to turn off at about 8 o'clock. So if you eat after then, and then you go to sleep, you're not getting restful sleep because your body's working on digestion, and not in an efficient way. Up to 70% of our energy is absorbed by fasting. I mean, by digestion. So it's this whole thing of our body being electrical and primarily, and that we need energy more so than we need food. And so I've been studying the occult sciences and breatharianism for a number of years and learning to attenuate my body to live off less and less and less, partly because of those reasons. You release that energy load from digestion that can go to cognitive function, cellular metabolism, cleaning up, and there's the whole thing of our lymph system. People are very much sort of aware of the importance of cleaning your blood and taking care of your blood. But 2/3 of your interstitial fluid is lymph, and only 1/3 is blood. So your lymph system is actually more important for your immunity and health than take care of your blood. And everything you put into your mouth, the lymph system is essentially like a septic system. You know, it has to process all that and eliminate it. So when you, as American, in ancient times, there was times of feast and famine. People would fast, for religious reasons, across cultures. There's this drainage of the lymphatic system and the, cellular cleanup that makes the body more efficient, and then it actually needs less. And getting cellular nutrition, I've been juicing for these last 4 years. I've been on a juice fast for 4 years. And
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's something that I built to with 10 years of practice before, through meditation, sun gazing, grounding. What I like to talk about is this whole thing of the balancing of earth, wind, fire, and water, being out in the garden and getting that fresh air, being connected to the earth, absorbing that probiotic, doing physical exercise. There's exercise actually builds energy. There's many forms of energy. A lot of people will talk about, a relationship that feeds them, or work that feeds them, nourishes them. There's an actual sense of nourishment you can get from doing those things. And we're so fixated as a culture, basically on root chakra and the need to eat and, have sex and get money and, survive. And we can't really get up into our heart chakra and our crown chakra and be the cosmic beings we are, and be, courageous of heart, and caring, so there's ways we can grow into this. And to me, this has been part of the path, and it cleans up this process of fasting cleans up the energy channels, so the subtle energy channels, so everything can flow more easily. But the foundation is, nourishing yourself properly. Nutrition, there's many foundations. One is seminal retention, the whole no-fap thing that's coming in. That is ancient wisdom. Your seminal fluid is your cerebral spinal fluid, or, for women, your sexual fluid is your cerebral spinal fluid. The more you recirculate it, the more it refines. And those are the best cells of your body. Can you imagine if we, refined ourselves and our seed and everything, for, 20 or 30 years, and then purposely built, gave birth to children with, giving them essentially the best of yourself,
Yeah, setting the highest intentions. Yeah. Wow.
Being aware of your seed. Everywhere you drop your seed, you're going to be putting your energy there forever. You drop your seed in a field, a fertile field, you're going to be, whether you like it or not, you're going to be feeding energy there, whether you show up or not,
Yeah.
So to have more awareness about that. There's a thing about time of life. Your early life, you shouldn't be, attempting this thing, because in educational years, you're building your body, you're experiencing life. As you get older, I'm like 45, getting to 45, 50, your metabolism becomes such that you don't need as much, and it's kind of natural to fast more. In our culture, we eat, for social reasons, for emotional reasons, we eat everything. You're going to do something with someone, you're going to eat pretty much. What if we did things together that were fulfilling, that weren't around eating?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So there's many modalities that come into play, and this is all just various health modalities that anyone can use at any time. And if you stack them on top of each other and you do them consistently, you will have like this harmonic effect that just builds and builds. So, having the right thought, because you can, people talk about the acidity, alkalinity, that comes into it too, this whole electrical component. And so if you're eating alkaline foods, but thinking acidic thoughts, you're still acid, You can clean that up with just breath work, So it's fun, simple modality. This is the great untapped, this is the highest tech in the universe, all of our cell phones and everything, our cars, it's a plagiarization of the body. It's, you know, has the same, this has an eye, you know, it has a brain, you know, it has, quartz in it, you know, like our quartz skeleton, which is a superconductor, semiconductor resonator, and pyroelectric and piezoelectric. So this whole thing of us being energy beings in a sea of energy, cosmic energy all around us, you know, energy coming up from the earth, energy coming down from the sun, we can attenuate our body purposefully. And I believe this is part of ancient culture, and something that is accessible to everyone who's called to it. But anyone can use any of the breatharian occult techniques of, you know, fasting, you know, seminal retention, qigong meditation, etc., to benefit their health, you know.
For sure. What would you say if you had to just take the first, you know, a person just came to you and just wanted to make some dynamic change, you know, working in an office, working in a cubicle, eating the processed foods, drinking the water full of fluoride, you know, going through life in a survival state of mind. You know, what are some of the things you immediately, you say, listen, I'm controlling you now. This is what you do. Ready, set, go.
Well, I've been partnered with a superfood company over the last year. I've been devising all of these modalities on my own for my own experience. But then, and I, as an herbalist and a permaculturalist, having 3 sons, you know, running a homestead in this day and age has been economically challenging. So I was looking for a solution for that, and something that would resonate and be aligned with me, because I've never worked with another company or for anyone else, except for myself or like my father-in-law or like, you know, my master gardener teacher and some other, you know. So it gave me a tool that is this cleanse that is complete, because a huge part of our health issues and our mental issues are intimately intertwined, you know.
Very good point. Yeah.
Parasites can lead to, you know, this toxicity in the body, inflammation, control the mind, in that those parasites are hungry. The inflammation is causing you to feel unwell. The unawareness, or, you know, the lack of awareness, but the growing awareness about the gut-brain axis and how the neurotransmitters are created in the gut, and how we need those beneficial microbes to have clear and happy cognitive, you know, resilience. So it has a probiotic, the third-party tested to clean glyphosate out of the body, that endocrine disrupting toxic substance. And if you ever ate Cheerios, or you ever had Pop-Tart, or you ever ate McDonald's, you have glyphosate. And even your organics, most of our organics, they're grown downwind, downstream, you know, from fields that spray. So, you know, reclaiming our food systems, this company, they grow their food 30 miles away from anywhere that's spraying glyphosate. Also doing backyard gardening, reclaiming like victory gardens, starting to make a clamor in our communities about why don't we have food forest community, you know, food forests? Why doesn't the city make our parks more and our parking lots more rainwater harvesting, and do bioremediation of known point source pollutants with, you know, fungi and stuff. So there's things like, I think of too many things. I'm all over the map, you know.
That's why I love it, man. We need people like you. I'm telling you, everybody right now, I think is just really, you know, and you've been doing this for a long time, but just, you know, connecting with their heart, you can just tell that this is what you're about. That's why I was so excited just to get you on this live, just to talk, because like I said, I was absolutely blown away at the things you were saying when we were just out walking the mesa. So, that was awesome.
That's so much fun to me, because this is, you know, just become my natural life, and it's a magical life, you know, and we can all be living this magical life. So, but first is cleaning up the bioremediation of the human being, so we can regain the integrity and the consciousness, you know. So this cleanse is very helpful with that. You know, it has the probiotic, a green juice that gives you the dense micronutrient you need.
Just the liquid sunshine?
Yep.
That was amazing. Oh my God. Like I've never had, and I've done a lot of things when it comes to just health and wellness. I've taken a lot of different things, but liquid sunshine was phenomenal. I mean, we were up there at 8,000 feet elevation. We were very active. We were doing a lot of things, and we were just doing a one meal a day sort of thing, an OMAD. And the entire day, I just went on two big, mason jars of liquid sunshine, and then we were just having these amazing meals. And I felt fully, nourished. I felt great. And in fact, I felt just everything was just humming. So I can't even stress to you, Purium is fantastic. Liquid Sunshine is amazing. That's the only thing I've done with Purium, but I have no doubt that the company is fantastic. I know so many people that are involved in it now. It's just a fantastic company. So
That's why I got onto it, is a company with real heart, and the whole thing is about we're incentivized to heal and better ourselves, and then to do that for other people, to help other people through that process. And I've always looked for this in my business. It has to be a win for me, a win for my client, and a win for the earth. And it has this thing of economic, empowerment, very strong commitment to ecological practice, sound ecological practice, and superfoods is as pure as you can get. And so, they have this tart cherry that goes with the cleanse that gets you to sleep better, rejuvenates your cells with high ORAC minerals. And then there's super vegan aminos that is the only cleanse that's anabolic, that you can actually build your body while you're cleansing. And then a parasite cleanse. So that would be like the foundation, and I would get people to hydrate more. The solution to pollution is dilution. Most people, if you're dealing with anxiety, or you're dealing with lack of sleep, or there's a whole host of health issues that people have that is just dehydration.
really, I never knew there was a link there. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes. And so, and then, getting into any of these other practices like meditation, it's universally beneficial, breath work of some kind, or exercise, to oxygenate the body. That will give you clearer thinking. It will give you your, cellular health and more energy. And so it's all about, this breatharian thing's about, just increasing your energy and finding other ways to increase your energy, like authentically grow energy, And we're still just being good that as we age, we're just going to finesse and go down and we can get stronger and healthier, and of mind, we can refine our chi and our inner awareness, and become, as we get older, more wizened and be more beneficial to our community.
For sure.
So time to flip the script on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's been way too long. I got to say, when it comes to flipping the script, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about you were kind of showing some videos when you got back from Taos. We had some amazing rain while we were down there, and you just had this abundance of growth. And I don't know, tell me about your garden. What you have got quite a beautiful just spread of land, man. Tell me what you got going on there. There's so many things there that you're growing. It's awesome to see.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's passion of, I want to live the change and actually be the change I want to see in the world. If you don't come from a place of experience, you have nothing to share, in my view, really. Not to be harsh, but we have to get things where the rubber meets the road now. You know what I mean? And so this has just been in my mind and heart the whole time, and it's just using the principles that I was, taught in permaculture to make this food forest, a perennial food forest. So it's something that, like a forest, that grows mostly plants that grow back year after year, And so you want to construct it in a certain way. You want to build in, or design in and plant in plants that will nourish the soil, at all levels of the forest. You want to plant in pollinator attractors. We are herbalists, so we plant in a lot of medicinal plants, but then we also plant in our perennials, like our tomatoes and our corn and beans and chili, and all onions and all the usual stuff in this forest system as like annuals where there's light, you know. And we use rainwater harvesting techniques. So to harvest all the rain, um, it's amazing. They did this project in Jordan, and you know it's below sea level there, totally salted, nothing growing, and they just carved out swales on contour and planted support species trees and threw a bunch of organic matter down and drip irrigation. And all the farmers were like, "Oh, you're silly. Those plants don't even make food and everything like that." They started infiltrating more and more water, and then they started planting after they had those support species up. So that's kind of what you do is you are trying to create succession, just like in nature happens. You put in pioneer plants, you know, and then you start creating the stacked system like a forest where you have an herbaceous layer, a shrub layer, you know, understory and an overstory. So it's capturing all the rain. You know, this site was capturing rain and getting bigger and bigger, and they're starting to grow mushrooms and stuff. And the local people were very confused. They thought it was maybe bad because they'd never seen mushrooms before, and the mushrooms were making the salts that were causing the other farmers problems to be trapped in this waxy coat and put in the ground and made inert. You know, because fungi have this whole massively beneficial effect on soil, so in this forest system, you're trying to create essentially a fungal system, and so you're doing things for the soil just by adding organic matter primarily. That will start to decompose, and it's going to come hosting these different spores and things that will start to enrich the complexity of the soil. You know, so that's what we had a desert here. You know, I mean, it was just prickly pear and, you know, grass and stuff. And now you've seen my pictures. It's all yeah. We're in New Mexico, you know, we're just getting rain now. It's been very dry. It was like before, right up until Manclan, it was 99 degrees every day. We were in a total drought. And then ever since we've been getting our summer rain. So,
Wow.
But
Well, that's
we
awesome.
we even grow mushrooms here in the desert. So it's just about setting up this system.
I was amazed at how much grew out there. I mean, literally, when we were walking around, I mean, just you're just like bang, 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 bang. I mean, it was everywhere, and yeah, it gets me mind blown every time. I know I said it already, but just the fact that they're even trying to sell us in this idea of food shortage is absolute ludicrous. It's nonsense. It's just another lie that they're trying to sell. So,
Lack is a mentality and not an actual fact. The universe is abundant. It's an abundance creator and a vitality creator. You know, but part of it is that we've become so reliant on the food systems of the social architects, and that's, you know, I believe that's devised purposefully, because if you can control the root chakra, you control the whole mind. You know,
everything.
got to nourish your root and feel secure in yourself, you know, to grow into these greater parts of what we can be and do. And
Yeah.
so,
And you're not, I'm sure you already know that guys like Bill Gates own the most farmland in the United States, which is very scary. But I mean, just getting away from this idea of just these crops that are sprayed with all these pesticides and just, I don't understand. I mean, I there are chemicals that we put in our foods that aren't allowed in other countries in the world, and it's alarming to me that in this country that's supposed to be so advanced that we're still doing these things, and you know we're ignoring the health risks. And you talk about the social engineers, you know, the people that keep or try to keep the wheel going, and what type of society they're starting to build or trying to build, and continue to perpetuate. It's just it's sad because there's so many better options and they would serve us all. You know,
well,
it's about control.
absolutely, and he who controls the narrative controls the reality. You know,
Hmm.
so that if you fail to plan, you could plan to fail, right? So
Hmm.
these people have a plan. They have a very detailed plan, and they're very organized. We need to have a plan, and that's what
Hmm.
I'm thinking. You know, is that we can, you know, learn the earth arts once again. You know, and we can learn about our inner abilities, ingenuity. Like we all, every single human is endowed with endless potential and inner, uh, you know, um, uh, capacity. You know, we're all endowed with greatness. We all have this creativity. We're creators, not consumers, and that's another, thing we need to flip. And to understand that we are strong and to build our strength through these ways of connecting with nature, and refining our mind and studying the right things, pointing our consciousness. I liked what Jim was saying in Manclan, because he's like, what are you guys doing? He's like, 40 hours a week, men watch TV, watch sports. You're not walking out in your community and seeing what's going on. You're not working on your business. You're not, you're comfy in front of the TV, like, let's get proactive. Let's heal our neighborhoods. Let's grow gardens in our backyards, and and share our overage with, neighbors, and like start to lock arms, and realize that together, all of us together are smarter than one of us can ever be, and many hands make light work. And if we organize together, we can add all of our brilliance and energy to create a new paradigm. And in permaculture, we talk about the problem is the solution. Everything that is a problem is just pointing out what needs adaptation. Um, so our health issues collectively as a culture, our ecological issues, our economic issues. If we can, through these means, through permaculture and getting real with, earth art practice, we can grow back into resilience and sovereignty at all levels.
Take the power back. Yeah, absolutely. You touched on one thing, and I was going to see if we could circle back to it, and that's herbalism. Tell me more about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh man, that's also another huge, deep thing that we could go on for an hour. I love, it's just seeing the reflection, so it comes into this whole teaching from the ancients of earth, wind, fire, and water. So this occurs in Native American, African, alchemical, Chinese, Ayurvedic, and how each one of us is a special combination of the elements of earth, wind, fire, and water. The same is the case with plants, So it ties in with what I've been studying with medical astrology. So I'm a Aries, a quadruple Aries, and I'm a Pitta dosha type, and so it's interesting that the fire dosha type links, with the medical astrology, who I am. Pardon me. And so part of what I was dealing with as a younger person was, too much drinking, too much meat, too much wheat, too much milk, and so these are all inflammatory foods. They're all, fiery foods, and also too much, chili maybe, and coffee. So acid, 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 fire, fire, fire. And so what was my healing was raw foods, and fasting, and kind of, quelling the fire with the antipathy, which was these cooling elements. So on a hot day, you could, like we do in New Mexico, or in Mexico they do too, they'll eat chili on a hot day because it'll expel the heat to the periphery of the system, and you'll sweat and you'll evaporatively cool, or you'll actually cool off from eating something hot. So that's called sympathy in herbalism. Antipathy would be like having watermelon or some cucumber, cold, watery, herb, so to speak. And there's many herbs that are like demulcent, mucilaginous, cooling herbs, and many herbs that are like warming, herbs, etc. So we can start to see how our bodies are unique, and our conditions of our various healings are unique. And in the plants, there's these reflections that you can use sympathetically or antipathetically, if you understand the plants correctly. So a mistake we do kind of culturally is like, if people want to have a respiratory herb, blend, they'll put every respiratory herb in the blend. And if you have maybe a dry cough and you use a herb like osha, which is warming, you can exasperate that dry cough. You need a demulcent respiratory herb like licorice that will cause you to phlegm up a little bit and be a little more soothing to the mucosa. So learning the individual plants and how they connect to individual organ systems, and it becomes this beautiful sense of a reflection. And when you start to develop relationships, start learning one plant at a time, and you start to see them as unique beings. Each individual plant will have individual morphology, just like you and I have individual morphology. We're both human, Homo sapiens, but we look distinctly different. So you start to key into your relationships more, and this is something that's key to my heart. Is if your relationship with your food breaks down, your most basic fundamental relationship with the earth breaks down, and then all of your other relationships break down. And since we're not really tied with these practices in way, we used to be taught this stuff by our uncle or our grandpa. This was like how you live on earth. Here, just how you get food, and so we need to like revivify these wisdom streams so we can reintegrate that most fundamental relationship, so we can quit the rancor and the divisiveness, that we're all experiencing collectively from. I think that's been sown by the social architects, and isn't the true nature that we all understand. But we need to grow that, unity, consciousness vibration in a bigger way, in my mind, at this time. And so, because it's divide and conquer, that's how they undo us.
Brother, you got to get into some type of political position. And that's the thing. I could say it about so many amazing souls that I've been meeting, but I know you're well on your way to doing everything that you're doing. I say that jokingly because that's a whole other topic of a discussion. But we need more thinkers like you that are in positions of legislative power. That I think there's gonna come a point in time where that's what it's gonna take. At the local levels, at the state levels, at the national levels, we're going to have to just find like-minded brothers and sisters like yourself that are ready to step up and just, maintain focus on the people, maintain focus on getting the power away from the people that are trying to keep their thumbs on us and trying to keep us sick and in disease, and then ultimately, bringing the collective into a place where we all win, in a place of abundance. And so, yeah, you're nailing it, brother.
Here. I mean, thank you for that. But here for what you said is like, I think a great many of us feel this. And like you were saying earlier, looking back 10 years ago, look how many people are doing yoga and being aware, having a conversation about microbiome, and being aware about food and fasting. And this is just exploding. I think it's actually propitious times. And I think this could be what I envision as a revolution, unlike any other, where we have leaders, because that's been the traditional way. And then those leaders are objectified, power struggled over or taken out, right? So I think this is going to be all of us learning, something I've been feeling for a long time. Accountability, responsibility is freedom. And when we become, the word government is gubernare and mente, means to mind control, to govern the mind. What if we can learn to govern our own minds? And in Buddhism, they say, we could make one person happy in this whole world, and that was ourselves. And if everyone just did that, we could have world peace. You're just accountable for your own actions, your own thoughts,
Yeah, when I started to go through my spiritual awakening, which we all go through it, regardless of whether or not we choose to, to recognize it, life in and of itself, in my opinion, is a prolonged spiritual awakening. But yeah, the real answers lie within, and I just became obsessed with going within, and I think that's where it obviously begins. But then once we understand our power and we start to understand the matrix and we understand just everything that we're up against, then we can, further kind of, I think, just take sympathy and grace to people and to the people in our surroundings that may not recognize it yet, and to just try to shine that light and try to offer that better way, and just to try to let people see the happiness that can come from just a balanced human being, just taking pleasure in the simple gratitudes of life. And, just, getting the food situation right, the water situation right, the air, the entire ecological system, and just, like my friend said down in the chat, just returning to the tribal way. I mean, I think the indigenous knew quite a bit. I think that they were very connected, and I think we have to return to that mindset, and we have to leave things better than when we found them. And I think that only starts when we address the needs of the individual. I think that the individual's needs are just not being met. Look at the homelessness, look at just everything, and it's all tied to a system that basically just lifts the few. And we just have to keep shedding light, brother. That's all we got to do, is just keep shedding light. Eventually, I think people are going to see it. I think they already are seeing it. I think that there's so many people that are just awake, and I'm grateful to witness it. I hate that it's come at such a cost, but great things often do. So
I always think of the yin yang as the Taoist. As bad as things are, you'll know that there's an equal light. So there is all this darkness in the world, but it has to be. It's the law of polarity.
Mm-hmm.
There's equal light happening on the same level, the same degree. And so it's this thing of non-forcing that I think is part of the embracing of the natural way, and learning to go with the rhythms of nature, learning through ensconcing ourselves in nature, to integrate this like into our biology, into our bodies and our subconscious mind, not just thought philosophically of how we could, because there's too much of that in the world. It was something else I felt about the man clan. It's like act. That's part of divine masculinity. It's like once you need to do something.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
that the masculine, divine masculine within. Saying I must do something here.
Yeah, you nailed it. And that's what that weekend, it did so much for me. Like, I'm still unpacking that weekend. I'm trying to unpack it, because I'm just the layers of all the things that I've learned. But what I saw is that, in the last 3 years, 4 years, kind of leading up to that, when I let go of corporate America and just said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to blaze my own trail. I came up with a lot of ideas, and I started to act on those ideas. And then, things started to happen in 2020. Life started to change around us. There was nothing we could do to really get around it. And it forced me to kind of go within and start to say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. You were happy. This is, you were doing what you wanted to do, but the circumstances are what they are. And so what that weekend did is I had all these things kind of just log jammed into this place, and the water just wasn't flowing. And that weekend just basically pushed through everything, and it just gave me the opportunity to really understand my vision, my purpose, and the very reason why I'm here. And it kind of just unlocked the fearlessness. I'm no longer really concerned. I don't give a damn about what people think. I'm just here to just shine my light and just help other people shine their light, and really just to love and to learn how to love. And it starts with the individual.
And
But that was
unapologetically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just that's what I was feeling too. It's like it's I think something that is plaguing us all, and especially over the year of COVID, to suppress, and to no longer, the Buddha also, the Buddha doesn't say it, but there's an Instagram adage that I love that they attribute to the Buddha. It says, "Do no harm, but take no shit."
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm always have a mind to nurture, but there comes a point where you have to draw a line. The most living thing is a boundary, and we have to draw a line on our brothers, the social architects. They're human beings, but they're not acting in a humane way, you know.
And that's been my greatest challenge. I've definitely my 9/11, my 9/11 truth journey that I'm on. There's a person right in front of me that I am going to respond to. This man challenged me, but I am quite frankly in still a meditative state of trying to figure out how to approach this with compassion and approach this with a higher energy. To where you can go into it. Even a person that I'm quite frankly trying to expose. How do I expose the truth, but how do I also get away from that old energy and that energy of just anger and always wanting to fight and hatred? How do I do that? So yeah, it's a process and it takes time.
That's been a big one for me and a big part of my healing. I like what Soul of Gypsy said there. Like I said, love is the missing fifth element. That is the unity vibration, and it's been something I've been doing as a meditation for years. Is like while I meditate, I focus my concentration on my heart center. We need to move out of our heads and into our hearts. Our head is this bifurcation: left, right, should I, shouldn't I? Judgment space. And our heart is a place of compassion. It is the compass. So dropping into the heart often gives me, that the awareness I need. Doing that practice helps me and train to that awareness of the heart, so that when I'm in a situation like that, it's still very hard. We all get triggered. If something you've been suppressing and it's been bothering you, and it's been 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it's really hard, to pull back in that moment. But that's where reprogramming ourselves, and through meditation, dropping into theta state right before you go to bed, you can listen to, positive information and absorb that into your subconscious as a new program, and then I find insights come, of like how to be more loving, and I like what the Taoists say is like, if it's kind of, to paraphrase, if it's not a hell yes, it's probably a no, So
yeah.
Waiting for that hell yes to come, until you're like inspired action,
Yeah, and that takes some time, and that takes a lot of inner work, and a lot of time alone. That's one thing I try to tell people. It's, everybody wants everything now. We live in this microwave society. It's like now, now, now. And I'm like, listen, sometimes you just need to sit and be alone. I'm not the only one that said that either. That's Tesla. That's Albert Einstein. Sit and just find the answers. They will come. So it's just all about intentions.
Totally. Each one of us is here with the divine mission and purpose, and just getting the static clear so you can hear your own thoughts.
Yeah, and then
these days, but it's a must.
And then having, like you said, the courage to take action. So the universe will always catch you. That's the beautiful thing. So every time.
Totally. And I like what Abe Lincoln said, something to the effect of like, if you have to see the proof of your results, that's no faith at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Put yourself into it and just know you're going to be okay.
Oh yeah. And everything that happens in life happens for a reason. We're not here to experience just the great, grand, good times. We're here to get our ass whooped a couple times. We're here to get some cuts and some nicks and some bruises. And I think, I believe that we continue to come back and experience life in several different forms and ways, and we're always here to learn and to just grow and just, like you said, if you step into that place of love, if we can transcend into that fifth dimensional state of consciousness, we can come into a place where we see our purpose clear as day, and to do anything else but our purpose would just be insanity. And that's kind of the place that I finally came to. It's like, no, if I ignored this, it'd be like I wasn't breathing. And I know that for you, it's the same thing. You've identified your purpose and all your purposes, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's something that the long trial, from your youth to, it's like, what am I here for? It's whole existential crisis sets up, and then you're like, starts to coalesce and crystallize, and then if you listen to it and go with it, and that's another thing I really encourage everybody with respect to your health. That's the first and foremost thing, is like really, do what makes you joyful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
do what fulfills you, you shouldn't go to work for your fulfillment. You should go to work for your fulfillment. What you do all day should be what fulfills you. The money will
Mm-hmm.
work itself out as long as you do what you really. I don't know how many men I met over the weekend. And man, it was a reflection of me, a brother. I won't name him, but um, he was saying, yeah, my dad, told me that I couldn't be a musician and make it economically. And so, for 40 years, I suppressed that and did other things. And then, I retired and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was going through sort of a depression. And my wife was like, why don't you play music? And he was like, oh, I've always wanted to play
Yeah.
music, and that's been me too. I've been, my folks essentially, they nurtured me in playing music, but then they were like, yeah, but you can't do this for a job. It won't work. And so that took in my young mind, and it's been something I've been, unpacking, deprogramming, because I love to play music and I'm going to play some music as part of my live stream, But first, I need to
Yeah.
clean this work with the planet. I got boys. I'm going to rest well until first, priorities.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so honored and so thrilled to be a part of your journey, brother. And I know this is just the beginning. And just sharing this space with you and just coming on here and just seeing you. I feel like I've known you for quite some time, and I just can't thank you enough for just having such a profound experience and on my life and such an impact on my life. And your level of knowledge is just extensive, and I'm telling you, just the fact that we get to have this talk, and I know there's been so many people that have continued to just leave messages saying, man, this guy's great, so I just encourage you, brother, always keep doing your thing, always keep shining your light, because it's needed, it's wanted, it's loved. And so thank you. I truly appreciate it. I know everybody else that's been on this live truly appreciates it as well. So what, I guess in closing, what are some of your plans moving forward? How can we better assist you in your mission? And what kind of beautiful artwork are you going to be doing in your life here pretty soon? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, I'm just going to continue to be sharing. We shared events here at our permaculture demonstration homestead, teaching these resilient skills, how to do cob building, how to do permaculture design. We're going to have a pranic activation, fasting, breatharian retreat coming up. If anyone wants to reach out to me about a cleanse, I'm always here. I want to, help yourself grow into your greatest self. That's something that's become a big passion for me. That work. And so that's, kind of what I'm up to, but I just want to chant this whole thing into everyone's mind of, you are, just the fact that you showed up in this time means you are a spiritual badass, and it's time to shine.
That's right. It's time for all of us to shine. It's time for all of us to do what we were called here to do. And I'll say, we did not come here to lose. The end. We did not come here to lose. And so, brother, like I said, always got your back. Nothing but love to you, my friend. Nothing but love to you. So the light in me sees it in you. Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure, brother. Same to you. Anytime you want to connect, I'm always here. God bless.
Awesome, my friend. God bless you too, brother. Talk to you soon, my friend. Take you.
All right. Wholeness and balance.
Love you, brother. Wow. So, I told you guys, pretty big badass. I had Salem right here the whole time, paying attention. And so, thank you guys for all the kind words. And I just want to thank my brother again, Jesse Tree. You guys go give that man a follow. He is a just source. He is wonderful. So we're going to conclude this live. You guys keep smiling. Hope everybody's well. Love you guys, and nothing but abundance and great things to you guys. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.